But I want to show you an example or a couple examples. I probably have about 20 or 30 good ones, but I didn't want to waste like an hour going through and finding good flips for you that I've actually bought on one marketplace and sold back on Amazon for a ridiculous profit, right? So to show you examples of how you can do this right really fast, you'll see here I bought Fundamentals of Financial Management, all spoon-fed to me through the eFlip software, right? Bought this book right here for $42.99 to my door, ended up flipping it back on Amazon for about $239.97. Now, obviously, that doesn't count the fees, so I don't know exactly what the fees were. I didn't look into it too heavily, and I don't usually keep track of it like in a PowerPoint presentation like this. I just wanted to visually show you, look, here's the proof of the purchase. Here's the sale, right? I usually keep, track of it in spreadsheets like this. I have about 6 different spreadsheets depending on the month or when I purchased it. And I'll go through how to actually set this up too. So I keep track of, obviously the book title, the link to it on Amazon, so I can just relist it really fast. Whether or not it's sold yet, whether or not I've received it yet, whether or not it's an FBA, right? All that stuff. The purchase price, what it's sold for, the profit, etc., 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 okay? And where I obviously purchased it from as well. So I have a couple of these spreadsheets, but I'm going to show you examples of different book purchases that I bought, resold for a profit, and how easy it is to do that. And then we'll get into the eFlip software a little bit, and I'll run you through a quick tutorial so that after watching this video, you can literally hop on and do this yourself to make good money flipping books, okay? So, like I said, perfect example right here. Here's another example. Now, I bought more than 3 of these, but only 3 of them have currently sold. So, look, I bought this one right here, $13.93. I resold it back online for $61.41, it looks like, after the tax. So, it looks like the sale price was $56.73. Same thing right here. Purchased it again for $14.99. Resold it back for, again, $56.73. Same thing here. Purchased it again, $14.99. It's a different seller. Sold it back for $56.73. So I'm not sure exactly what that margin is. Obviously, that doesn't count fees, but I believe it was like a $20, $25 margin or something like that. This was probably like $150, if not more margin, because obviously if you're selling it at like $239.97, the fee's going to be slightly high, so it might be like a $40 or $50 fee. I'm not really sure, because obviously they take a percentage of the sale a little bit. They have like the referral fee to sell it on Amazon. They have the FBA fee, right? The weight or the storage and all that good stuff. So, I might have made, I don't know, $150, $160 on this total after the purchase price and after, the seller fees. I'm not really sure. I could look into it on my spreadsheet if I wanted to. So here's another example. Purchased this one on eBay for, after shipping, it looks like it's $28.58. Resold it for $115.56, so that's another great profit margin. So that's just 3 examples, or, I guess it's 5 if you count these as 3. I'm not going to go through and outline about 30 of them because it would take me an hour or 2 to kind of set this up and kind of go ahead and be like, okay, here's the proof of the purchase, because I have to go find the actual order, go find the purchase, right? Take the picture, then go find the sale, take the picture. It's not really worth it. I just wanted to show you some examples that you can literally do this, right? Because a lot of people can talk and say, oh, you could do this, but then they don't actually show that they are doing it as well, and that there's, proof behind the actual concept, right? Because you want to prove the concept and then you want to scale it up, just like in any business. So prove a concept, scale it up. Now, just to, keep it 100% real with you, it's not always sunshine and rainbows, okay? So let's say I buy, and these are made up fabricated numbers, but let's say I buy 200 books within a month, right? And with the eFlip software that I plan on flipping back on Amazon for a profit, right? Are they all profitable? No. Do they all look profitable initially? Yes, of course. But with books, there's a lot of different factors that come into it, right? So there's 2 different buy boxes usually. There's a used buy box and a new buy box, and you'll see that once we start hopping into the eFlip software and I show you how to source, right? And more importantly, the bestseller rank sometimes can fluctuate a little bit. So it can go up, it can go down, depending on if it's Q4, which it currently is, or if it's, textbook season, which is currently not, but textbook season, spring textbook season comes right after Q4, I believe at the end of January and early February. I'd have to brush up on that, but it comes right after Q4. So a lot of sales currently right now. So what I'm saying is the bestseller rank and the sales velocity of books can fluctuate a little bit. Same thing with the competition, right? So if somebody else buys this book, hops on the listing, for example, and lowers the price all the way down, and I'm not actively managing that, right, because I use repricing software to reprice all my stuff, then my software might end up matching their buy box price and it might sell for a lower profit or a lower sale price than I initially anticipated, right? So there's a lot of factors that go into it. So if you're not using repricing software, you can obviously manually adjust that stuff and you don't have to worry about selling it too low just because you're matching the buy box. You can keep your price high, wait for somebody else to sell it, and then you'll still make that margin, right? But because I do use automation and repricing software, this does happen from time to time. So I just wanted to show you proof that everything is not always profitable. The majority of stuff is profitable. The best thing that you want to do, and this is true across arbitrage business models, right, guys? So, for example, sometimes with a coupon product, you'll buy it and you can't sell it. For example, sometimes with a cashback product, you buy it and you can't sell it, right? So then, yeah, you might have gotten it for free, but if you can't sell it, you're not making any money, right? So there's different drawbacks to each business model, but obviously the majority of things you're gonna sell for a profit. So that's where the scale comes into it, right? So obviously, let's say hypothetically I buy 200 books within a given month auto resell. Maybe 100 of them are profitable. Maybe 50 of them have not sold yet. They're still waiting into FBA. And maybe 30 of them or 35 of them I haven't sold yet, and maybe 10 of them or whatever. I don't even know if that adds up to 200, but just stick with me. And maybe 10 of them I didn't anticipate the bestseller rank would drop or somebody else would hop on the listing. So it doesn't happen frequently, and your numbers might be different, right? So let's say hypothetically you bought 10 books, right? And you only did it a little bit. You bought 10 books. Maybe 9 of them are profitable, or let's say maybe 7 of them are profitable, and you end up netting a couple $100, right? And then 2 of them still haven't sold yet, so now you're at 9, so you have 2 books still in inventory in FBA, and 1 of them was not profitable because you anticipated a higher selling price than what it sold for, right? So you might make a couple $100 on like 7 books, you still have 2 in your FBA inventory, and then maybe you lost like $10 on 1 book, right? So to give you an example, here's an example right here. I'm actually down on this book right here. I lost $17.59, but that's okay because I'm making $50, $20, $10, $100 sometimes, $150 sometimes on other books. So it's risk. It is a risk to buy a book, just like anything. But if you're vetting products right, if you're vetting books right, and if you go through the checklist that I go over countless times in my eFlip tutorials, you will see that, yeah, it's possible to lose potential money on a book sometimes, but the far majority of books outweigh that because you're going to make good money on them. So I just wanted to, keep it real with you guys. Obviously, I lost a little bit of money on this book. After purchase price was $31.74. I sold it for $24.95, and obviously counting the fees, that ended up netting me a loss, right? So I lost money on this book, but that's few and far between if you're vetting products right. It does happen to me, from time to time. Nobody's perfect. It's going to happen to you if you start doing this as well. But the far, far, far majority of your books will be profitable, and you will make good money. I just wanted to kind of curb your expectations a little bit so that you don't think like, hey, I'm going to buy 100 books and every single one of them is going to be $100 profit. It doesn't work that way. Sometimes they fluctuate and you'll make more money than you anticipated, and other times you'll make a little bit less, and other times you might not make any money, right? It all goes back to, just like any arbitrage business model, the more you start sourcing, the more you do it, the better you will get in anticipating profit margins and staying consistent, okay? So it's not a big deal. I just wanted to keep it real with you. So basically there's 2 ways to make money with eFlip, right? You can either set it up to only source specifically on Amazon and only look for Amazon books, right, where there's a discrepancy in used books, right? So you're strictly sourcing Amazon used books. For example, somebody selling a book as a merchant fulfilled seller for like $10, but the buy box price as a used book, because there's a used buy box with books, is selling it for like $40, right? Because it's usually prime, right? So you can then buy it from the merchant seller, ship it into Amazon FBA, right? And sell it as a prime book for a lot more and make the margin. That's the first way. But today we're going to focus more on how you can basically sort from, or basically set this up so that you can check potential book leads on Amazon and then see if there's other marketplaces, so like other book marketplaces or other sales places where you can buy that book for a lower price and then send it into FBA to make the margin, right? So basically used books and new books. So how do you set this up? Well, the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. And you kind of want to, mess it around a little bit, just like any software. So if you have any experience with private label products and like Jungle Scout, you kind of want to play around with this, and you kind of want to get different looks of books that other people might not be seeing. And you also want to keep it, you want to kind of go real specific and then slowly broaden out your search results. So to give you an example of how I'm going to set this up, and it's literally different every single time, right? So that I'm always seeing different books. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go max publish date, like 2008. right? I'm also going to go max sales rank of like, let's go, didn't mean to do that. That was on the wrong one. So max published or max rank will go like 1,999, right? So a perfect example of that is like, instead of going 200,000, why don't you go like 199,000 so that you're seeing all the other books that somebody just putting in 200,000 wouldn't see, right? So you're seeing like a potential 100 other books. So let's go 199,000 right here in the, messed that up, wrong one again. I'm all over the place this morning. Oh my. Stick with me, guys. So we have max rank now 199,000, max published date 2017, and a minimum published date of 2018. Obviously no minimum rank. So used offers, there's going to be no limit on the max, no limit on the max for me. Minimum used offers, we'll set it to like one minimum used offer and like, I don't know, 12 max used offers, right? So new offers will go 9 and we'll go 1. So actually, you know what? Let's broaden it a little bit. So we'll go 12. So now max trade-in value will go like $5 for trade-in value, because that basically indicates that if it's a textbook potentially, and you're not always sourcing textbooks. I've sold plenty of other books that aren't textbooks that are profitable, right? But because it's the end of Q4 and we're about to move into textbook season, I'm definitely buying a lot of textbooks as my inventory because I know that they will sell for a ridiculous margin at the end of Q4 and into textbook season in the spring, okay? So I want a max trade-in value of at least $5 potentially. Sometimes I make that 3, sometimes I make it 12, sometimes I make it 15. Like I said, I switch it up every time to get different looks of different books that the software is going to spit out to me, okay? So the whole thing behind the trade-in value is if you put a little bit of trade-in value, it still makes sure that your book is current, right? Because there's still a trade-in value for it. Then it's still being used in some place, right? In some college, there's still a potential variation or version of that book that is being used, and it's not completely outdated, right? Because the worst thing that you could potentially do, well, not the worst thing, because you could always return it potentially, but one of the worst things you could do is buy a version of a book that's outdated that nobody uses anymore, hence also the minimum and max publish date, okay? So if you don't understand that, it's fine, but that's just play around with these numbers, you'll get better at it, okay? So max Amazon price, we'll say like the minimum Amazon price, we'll say like $33. Say minimum new price is $33. We'll also say that the limit is like $405, $405 listed as new. We'll say the max used price, minimum used price, we'll say 50 cents. Let's go dollar. Max use price will say like if the minimum use price is 33, we'll say max use price of like 9, right? Boom. Now we have everything, so we're gonna spit it out right here and hit search and see what it pulls up for us. All right, so those search parameters were a little too specific, so it didn't really spit too many books out for us. So I kind of went out and adjusted them a little bit. I dropped the offers all the way up to a max because obviously if I had more time to do this by myself, right, or sit here and source by myself, I'd play around with them to get specific numbers so that I could see good products that I haven't seen before. But just for the sake of kind of demonstrating how this software spits out potential book leads to you, I just want to give you an example really fast. I dropped the minimum price all the way down to 0, and I dropped the max price all the way up to 20. I also added no limit to the offers right here, so just a little bit of a change, okay? So, and also dropped the max trade-in value down to 3. So obviously, in the future, if you're doing this, you can kind of make them a little bit more specific slowly and then hone it in that way if you want to, and then search that way. All right, so it spit out a good number of books. So just like I said right here, one of the best ways that you can utilize this software is you want to click this right here. And one of the best things too is you'll notice that some of them are green and some of them are like gray. So see how this one's gray and this one's still green? That means that I've clicked this one and I've already checked it out. So that's one of my favorite things about this software is it's already going to tell you that you've looked at this book so you don't want to do it again. So let's scroll all the way up. Let's check out Adobe Photoshop Lightroom CC book. So this one might be a good one. We're going to click the link and it's going to take us to Amazon, right? So there's two ways to basically source this, like I said before. So if we keep this page open and we open this in a new tab because we're interested in the buy box prices, right? So two ways, like I said before, I'll give you the brief one of used really fast and then we'll hop into the new sourcing. So with the used, you'll see that there's both a used and a new buy box. So the used buy box is currently at a used good condition and it sells for $22. But see here, if you go back to the original page, there's somebody also selling a merchant fulfilled book right here as used good. So they're fulfilling it by merchant and they're only selling it for like, what is that? Like $9, $9.50. So there's a potential profit margin there of $12 to be made if you can buy it from this seller, ship it into FBA, and then sell it for $22, right? So I always ship a number of books in at once. I'm never just shipping this book into FBA. If you just ship one book into FBA, it's going to end up costing you like $4 or $5 per book, because it costs you like $4 or $5 to ship a box in, right? But if you ship like 10 or 50 books in at once, then it's practically going to negate the shipping cost. I think I just made up a word. It's going to negate the shipping cost because you're shipping so many books in at once, so then it might end up costing you like 20 cents a book or like 50 cents a book. So that makes a huge difference in your cost, right? So I'm going to hit the AMZ Scout calculator here, and we're going to try to run these numbers. This still isn't working for me. It's kind of pissing me off. So it hasn't been working recently, so I have to look into why this plugin stopped working. So I'll just pull up the FBA calculator right here, and we're going to run through an example of whether or not this would be a profitable used book to do, right? So let's take the ISBN, and we're going to take it into Seller Central to see if we can sell it. So can we sell it? And we can sell it in new and collectible and used conditions. So with books, and this is a mistake I made initially, so I'm not perfect, I make mistakes too. I thought that books were a completely ungated category because they've always practically been, that you could resell any book. Now, that is usually the case with about 99.9% of books. However, that said, there are some books that are like really, really low rank that you are gated to sell. So just make it a habit of always checking if you can sell it, regardless of the online arbitrage business model. Even though 99.9% of the time with books, you will be able to sell it. But just check so that that one-off potential case, you're aware, okay? So we can sell it. Now it's taken into FBA, and we'll take that same ISBN into the FBA calculator because we don't have the freaking plugin that just pops up on the page some reason. So let's select it, and this is just going to give us an indicator of the potential costs that they're gonna have for keeping this into FBA, so we know if it's a profitable item, right? And I probably will barely make any money buying this used for whatever that is. So $525. Let's add it up really fast because that's going to be relevant. So let's slide this over really fast. So we have $525 plus $3.99 for shipping plus 56 cents for tax, and then it ends up costing us $9.80. So if we come back, the cost of our product is going to be $9.80, right, to ship it into FBA. The ship to Amazon, I'm going to estimate like 50 cents, even though it'll probably be a lot cheaper than that because I'm going to ship like 50 books in at once. I just sent a recent shipment. It was like 87 books, and it was practically negated the cost. So I think it was 3 boxes, 87 books total, and every single book ended up being like 10 cents a book. It was super cheap. So back to this now. What's the item price? It was $22 if we sell it from the new used buy box, which we can obviously match the price and potentially share the buy box because they're both going to be used good conditions, and my seller metrics are good. Seller metrics don't play a huge part in getting the buy box. It's more about price and availability to the customer. So if you match the price and you also have it into FBA as somebody else does, your availability to the customer is going to be relatively similar. Your price is going to be the same, so chances are you will share the buy box for the majority of the time, okay? So the price is, I already forget that, it was $22. So let's see if we're then profitable. And we're profitable, but only by 85 cents. So it's clearly not worth it to buy this book as used from this seller right here and resell it and ship it into FBA to sell it for $22, right? Now, sometimes there'll be a bigger discrepancy, so this will be cheaper, right? The cheapest used book will be cheaper, and the buy box will be higher, right? And then there's obviously a better margin there, so that might be a way that you want to go do it. That's a perfect example of sourcing it as used. So instead, we're going to actually see if this is a profitable book to source new. So then we're concerned with the buy box new price, which is $36, right? So same thing. If you come back into the same listing right here on eFlip and you come down to the bookfinder right here, it's basically attached to bookfinding software that's going to shoot out all the potential sale prices across the web, right? And that's a great resource to have, so you can see if you can buy this for cheaper potentially and then ship it into FBA and resell it. So you'll also see over here it's going to list you the used books and all the prices and where they're potentially selling at. So that's another great way you can check if you're going used books. But I'm interested, like we talked about, with the new books. So over here, somebody's selling it on eBay for $21.99. It looks like somebody's selling it for $25.94, etc., etc., etc. Now, you always want to make sure with new books that you're not buying an international edition. So always read the description and make sure that it's not an international edition. Sometimes it will be international, and then avoid that. I've talked about that in the past. But for the majority of books that you're sourcing through, just check if it's an international edition or not, okay? If it's not an international and doesn't say anything about that, then you're allowed to resell it. So just check Just like I said, just like checking to see if you can sell it, just go through that as a rule of thumb to make sure. Not saying it will happen to you, but you always just want to make sure, okay? So this is probably not profitable. You're going to buy it for $21.99. It only resells back for $36, so let's change these then. If the item price is $36, it costs us another 50 cents to ship it into FBA, and our cost of the product is $21.99. It's probably going to tell us that we're not profitable if we calculate, and we are still profitable, but again, 56 cents, so not worth it. So let's X out of those then, and I'll take you through another example. We're going to sort through one more right here really fast, and we'll see if it's profitable, but obviously there are a number of other books to sort through here. So what I like to do is I'll just put in some good music, or, you know, if there's like 10-15 minutes where like I'm bored on a Sunday. Usually I do this a lot on Sundays, right, when I'm watching football and I'm watching Red Zone. I love it. I'll set my computer up on the table, pop Red Zone on, watch Red Zone, source a bunch of books, and I'm probably, you know, 20 books deep on a Sunday just buying books, and it's a great kind of way to make money while I'm enjoying my football Sunday, okay? So whenever you have free time, sort through a couple books, right? If you want to turn this into a full-time business, then obviously you can sort for hours if you want to, but I just kind of like to do it sporadically, and I'm probably buying anywhere from like 5 to 10 books a day, you know, but those margins like I showed you before can be all the way up to $150 depending. Now, they're not always $150. Some of them are lower. Some of them are like $10. Some of them are $5. Some of them are $20. But the majority of books that I'm buying from eFlip are usually really good margins. So let's try one more really fast. We're going to click this again, and it's going to take us here. So is there an opportunity to buy it used and resell it as used, or is there an opportunity to buy it new and resell it as new? Let's check it out. So it looks like the used price right here is about, what is that? Like almost $15, because this is almost, so, or that's not 15, I can't add. What is that? 11, I can't do math today, almost $12. So let's open up this other tab because we're interested in the buy box prices, right? So the used buy box is $18.97, so there's probably not a margin there to buy it from this seller right here at, you know, $12 and then ship it into FBA for $18. I probably won't net anything. I might even lose a little bit of money. So you can't buy it as used, it looks like right there, but can you buy it as new? And keep in mind that you can also sort through this, like I'm going to show you in a second. You can go to Bookfinder and see if there's a better opportunity to buy it used on another marketplace, which I rarely do that. It looks like somebody's selling it on eBay for $10.11, so it's a little bit cheaper, but still probably not a good margin. I'll take it in just to show you anyway. Although you'll get better at kind of seeing ahead of time, so you don't have to waste your time with this. I already know it's either going to net me practically nothing again, or I'm going to lose money on it. But let's just check for the sake of showing you really fast before we check the new. So used buy box price is $18.97. Shipped to Amazon will estimate 50 cents, but like I said, it's usually cheaper than 50 cents, and my cost of the product if I buy it on eBay is $10.11. So $10.11 then. Am I going to make any money or not after fees? I'm actually going to lose $169 after fees, so that's a bad product, right? So same thing goes. Let's reboot this. I don't know why I just went back. I didn't have to do that. I also want to check with that ISBN if I can even sell it first, because if I can't sell it, none of this matters. So I can sell it in new collectible and used conditions. Always go through that as a part of your checklist. So now we're interested in the buy box new price. And the buy box new price is about $101.32. So let's go check to see if there's an opportunity here. And it looks like there is. This is a great opportunity. So I'm probably going to buy this book if it checks out. So on eBay, boom. Somebody's selling it for $29.99. It doesn't say anything about potentially having it as an international edition, so let's click the listing and check it out. And it's going to take us to the listing. Is this an international edition? I don't see anything international. I don't see anything international, and obviously I had to read through this really fast to make sure, so I'm going to do that after this, but I'm not going to read through it on the, right here, right now to, basically waste your time, but I'm obviously going to make sure, always check to see if there's anything in there that says international edition. It doesn't look like this is, so this looks like it's a good product, so $29.99, so then if I sell it, and we search that again, right, that's the same book, right, it is. We search that again, so the item price, then if I sell it as new and ship it into FBA to get the new buy box, is $101.32. So $101.32, shipping to FBA is going to stay 50 cents, and then our cost of product, I believe, was $29.99. It was $29.99. Boom. So let's see what we're going to make. Perfect example right here. I rest my case. So you're going to make about $50 margin on this if you buy it for $29.99. Ship it into FBA and sell it and match the buy box price at $101.32. I'm going to buy this as soon as this video ends. It's a perfect example of another book, and it might not sell right away. Another thing to keep in mind is the potential bestseller rank of a book, right? But if you're setting your eFlip software up to, relatively low on max rank, you don't really need to worry about it. But I always tell people you can really go up to books all the way up to 1 million bestseller rank, but keep in mind that you're going to be sitting on them for a while, right? So if you want to flip books faster, maybe stay underneath 250,000, or if you really want to wait on a book for like a couple weeks, maybe go up to like 500,000. But I'd keep it obviously just like any other form of arbitrage. The lower bestseller rank indicates more potential sales. Now, books sell more frequently, right? So a 200,000 rank in books is going to sell a lot more than a 200,000 rank, which is practically selling nothing in another category, right? So it's a different thing, but like I said, the more you source, the better you'll get at it. So what's the bestseller rank of this one? 91,000. It's obviously selling very well. And if Jungle Scout's working, which clearly my Google Chrome has stopped working, it's just frustrating with me, and I'm going to have to figure out how to fix that. But it's clearly selling very, very well, so this will flip fairly quickly. So perfect example of a good book that you can buy using the eFlip software. I would have never found this if eFlip didn't spit this out for me. It was literally the second one. So if I wasn't creating this tutorial right now, I would have found that in like a minute, and boom, I've already made 50 bucks in like a minute just buying this, shipping into FBA. Super, super simple. And that's just one example of books, guys. You can scale this up to the max.